of what is going to be a phenomenal year for you with the release of the Grift.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, y'all need to go ahead and cop that. Okay. Get the pre-orders. I know some people they feel like, well, I'll get it when the book come out. No, 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 no. What we need to do is we need to get Clay on that best sellers list. If Larry on the punk ass could be on the list, if Candace Owens punk ass could be on the list, then damn it, Clay Kane could be on the list.
And also, too, I mean, the book, The Grift, it starts with the likes of Frederick Douglass and Ida B. Wells,
Yeah.
and it shows how this is not how it began, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it
I'm
is
glad
this
that you
downward
clarified that.
spiral. Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't. And it's showing how not all Black Republicans are alike. Colin Powell and Tim Scott are completely different. So it
Mhm.
shows this kind of downward spiral, this insidious journey that I'm sure Frederick Douglass would be mortified at Clarence
Yeah.
Thomas,
And honestly,
So it
don't we all need more information on Frederick Douglass? Like, come on,
exactly,
and
exactly.
these other really iconic Black Republicans. So I'm thank you for making that point, because it's very true. It's not about Black dragging Black Republicans. It's about
Right.
showing the evolution from where you started and acknowledging that yes, Black people were Republicans, but it was a
Yeah.
different Republican Party. It was a different aim. And so it's so important that people really pick up this book, because we hear it all the time. Black people on the plantation, black people, da 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 da.
Right. That
Not
whole I
even,
debunk all that. Yeah, I
yes,
tackle
yes,
all of
yes.
that.
And then just the one last
Yeah.
thing, I made this point when you first announced the book. Timing is very important. I was just at the Color Purple screening that Oprah did at the Oprah Winfrey Theater at the
Yeah.
the Smithsonian, the Black Smithsonian. I know I'm an ambassador. I should say the full name, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Um, and she talked about the importance as it relates to the Color Purple that everybody see it within the first week because you want to start strong. You want to have a big box office opening so that people look at what happens in the first week. They don't care about what weeks 2, 3, and 4. Oh, okay, after 6 months, you did X, Y, and Z. They want to go off of the first week. And so that's the same thing that applies when it comes to book sales. You can over the course of time sell X number of books, but you're not going to make the bestsellers list even for somebody who only sold that the first week and did not sell one copy afterwards because it's spread out over a period of time. Hey, I was listening on Tuesday. You're 45% at your
We're
goal.
about 45%
Okay.
there to
Yeah.
where I have a clear shot of being on that bestsellers list. And so I've been asking folks if you can, pre-order, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart.com, Audible, ebook, even bookshop.org for your local bookstores.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're about 45% ish there. Considering the way that I see some other things being elevated, I
Mhm.
just hope that, we can elevate this, and I put my heart and soul into it. And also it's kind of reclaiming our Black political history
Yeah. Oh,
that
I
a lot
love
of
that.
people,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Because you can't
reclaiming our
really
Black.
tell the history of Black political power without talking about Republicans, right? Without talking about
Absolutely.
Black Republicans.
And it also opens the door for other Black political books to have that kind of access. I mean, I can
Yeah.
recall Bakari Sellers saying his book My Vanishing Country was great. It was phenomenal. It was a bestseller.
Yeah.
But he said that he told me this on these airwaves that the publisher, one of his publishers, whoever it was, didn't want a political book from him. They
Mm.
think that we're not engaged in politics in that way,
Mhm.
and that's just categorically not true. It's
Right.
just not true.
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Reese. It means a lot to me. I put my heart and soul into it. And
Mhm.
the book is part history, it's part cultural analysis. Y'all know how I do. It's a lot. I think there's over 1,000 sources in the book. It starts, in case you don't know, it starts at the end of the Civil War and ends in the Trump era. And in each chapter, I focus on specific Black Republicans. I focus on Jackie Robinson, who was an amazing Black
Yeah.
Republican,
Anna
an amazing.
Bruin. Oh, like me.
Say it again.
UCLA Bruin like me.
Right, exactly. I focus on Senator Edward Brooke, the first Black
Mhm.
Republican to be elected by the people. The first two were appointed by the state legislature. I focus on Black Republicans during the Nixon era. Some of y'all might remember them. Floyd McKissick from North Carolina. So many folks, and just show this how this got. And then I also interview. I interview Michael Steele in the book. I interview Sir
Mhm.
Michael Singleton in the book. I interview other Black Republicans in the book. So it's well researched, y'all. It's now. It still has my fire in it. Don't get it
Oh
wrong, because I'm burning
yeah. Oh
down Mass's
yeah.
house. But it is definitely. It's not just me babbling. It's original content as well. It's not just
Say that
me.
one more time, because I almost overtook. You said you doing what with what?
It's not just me babbling. I'm burning down Massive's house with interviews,
Period.
with original content, with sources. You know, I had a fact checker on this. I had to make sure this was accurate. And because, you know, although it's focused on black Republicans, because our history is being so mangled right now, it's being
Mm,
so mangled. And it's funny, there are other black Republicans like TRM Howard that they completely ignore who
mm,
performed abortions. He was a black Republican.
mm-hmm,
There were folks who were writing civil rights acts
mm,
in their state. These were black Republicans, and they are erased. You never hear them mention TRM Howard. You
mm,
never hear them mention some of the folks who really were trying. They were trying to do George W. Lee, a name a lot of folks don't know. They wouldn't allow him to go to the RNC convention in 1964. They kicked him out from
mm,
Tennessee. And then
mm-hmm.
before he dies in the 1970s, he says the Republican Party is over for black people. So my argument is thorough. It's
Yeah.
laid out. It's laid out. It's thorough. It's clear. Not all folks are going to agree, without a
Mm,
doubt,
mm-hmm.
but there are facts in there. You may not like part of my analysis, but you can't argue with the facts.
Right.
And this
Period.
is what they said. This is what I have a brief interview with Clarence Thomas's sister in the book.
Ooh.
I'm not playing.
Mm.
I'm not playing. This is not this is the book that my first book lived through this. I'm super proud of, but this is the book that I originally wanted to write. But
Right.
God works in certain kind of ways because it wouldn't have made sense in 2017.
Yeah,
Now,
I think it's a whole industry that is
exactly.
much more powerful and profitable than even at that time.
Even at that
And I
time.
feel like Black people in this environment need to be reminded and grounded in a historical sense, because I feel like our historical lens is like 6 months sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we only
Yeah.
remember that we had COVID, and we was shut down or whatever the hell the situation is. We don't remember that Roe v. Wade was overturned. We don't remember that affirmative action was overturned. That was this year. Like, there is
Yeah.
such a short memory, and it becomes just reacting to headlines and the news of the day, and having that be a driving motivation or disincentive for political action, as opposed to what this book will do is put it all in the context of, like, these are the kinds of things that we have been fighting for in various iterations for centuries now, and these are the leaders that we've had, and then these are the people that have exploited it or have found a way to turn it against the original leaders in this, the Black Republicans, to now what we see, which is almost entirely a grift. Now, do you have any contemporary non-grifters? I'm curious.
Contemporary non-grifters? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I basically asked more or less Michael Steele, that the former RNC chair, and he said there is no space to be a black Republican in this
Mm,
era. He said
mm.
there's no space. That's
Okay.
Michael Steele saying it.
Yeah, that's not you
That's Michael
saying.
Steele saying it. Um,
And I feel like even Michael is independent, right? He's not a registered
he's an
Republican.
independent. He's an
Okay.
independent as well. Michael Singleton told me in the book. He said, "I never needed the grift," and I know a lot of folks don't agree with Michael on some things that he says, but
Yeah.
I thoroughly researched Michael before I interviewed him. He never said get off the plantation.
Right.
He never said get off welfare. He never demonized black Democrats, and they pushed him out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they pushed him out. They literally fired him. You know what I
Right.
mean? And he gives me some revelations in the book too, because he worked with Ben Carson. Yeah, so
Oh.
this is well researched, and yeah, there's some, and I have a whole section about Omarosa and my interview with her as well. I got
Now, is
receipts
Candy
on
Carson in the book? In her
it.
Star Spangled Banner?
Briefly mentioned, briefly
Oh
who
shit.
Candy.
Okay, okay. We got enough on Candy and
We got
her.
enough on Miss Candy.
We got
Briefly
enough on
mentioned. Uh, yeah, y'all. So, man, if this book does well, it just paves the way for other black political books, black political history books as well. And when the book comes out and when it's a big success, I will give you all the details of what I went through to get this published. That's a
Mm,
whole other story.
yeah.
That is a whole other brutal story
Mm,
of what I went through to get this published and how I had to
mm-hmm,
fight and
mm-hmm.
beg and argue. My God.
Yeah.
Every step of the way, you got to fight for your content. Every
Mm-hmm.
step of the way, you've got to fight for it. You've got to fight for it. So that's a whole. I'll say that at Beyond the Mic. I'll
Oh
give y'all
yes,
some exclusives.
2024. But
I got
just
some receipts.
one last
Yeah.
time. Just it's
Yes.
this
Yes.
is
Yes.
not a general generic ask. There's a specific goal in mind, and we need, and I'm including myself in it because I want to see Clay win. We need the support so that Clay can meet that specific numerical goal to be on the
Yes.
bestsellers list to set up the rest of 2024. Y'all want to see Clay at his book tour? You want to see him on a virtual book tour? You're gonna need to support this book. I know you want to, oh well, I'm gonna wait till I can sign it. I'm sure Clay, you gonna sign the books, right? If people pre-order it, you still gonna sign it if they come.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to wait to
Yeah.
buy it on the spot to get the signature. He gonna sign a book whether you had it in January 31st or whether you buy it, but buy it in advance so that when you come, you ain't got to wait in line to get the book purchased. You can just
Exactly.
go boom, right? VIP, boom. I already got the book. Get the signature. Okay. So just support, support, support. Like I said, we don't ask for too much. We ain't on
Mm-mm.
here like the Democrats begging for $5 rush order situation. We ain't doing all that. Okay. So go ahead and support. That's my last time I'm gonna go say it today, at least in this segment.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Reese.